back now on Let It Rip. Things, temperature still hot here. This is a hot topic as well. Obviously one that doesn't have the same amount of charge with the last topic, but one that certainly has people divided. The 2024 election, you know what? At the latest presidential debate, a lot of people are talking about that. I'm joined now by Democratic insider and consultant Alexis Wiley, also Oakland University political science professor Dave Giulio, and former Republican State Representative Terrence Mikowski, Fox 2 anchor and attorney Charlie Langton here as well. We didn't hear a lot from you in the last segment, so
I had the front row seat.
We will ask you to chime in with this one. Let's begin with this New York Times Siena College poll. Trump leading in 5 of the 6 key states, including Michigan, Nevada, Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania, and our state here as well. Alexis, is that discouraging for Democrats who are hoping for a Biden win?
No, I don't think it's necessarily discouraging because I think there's still time, right? But I think we certainly cannot ignore it, right? I think that we need to really be leaning in and really thinking about the kind of campaigns that we run to make sure that we are really speaking to the needs of people. I believe that when people start really paying attention, President Biden has done an exceptional job on the economy. He's done great work. I think people are going to want to see him run an energetic campaign.
But 5 out of 6 key states, including Michigan, right now leaning a year out to Trump. This is after Joe Biden came out, the president did, picketing with the UAW, showing that, and the UAW ends up winning good contracts. You think that would benefit Biden even more and perhaps influence the polls?
I wonder if a lot of what we're seeing is less of a vote for Trump and more of people just kind of being despondent regardless, right? Like basically they're saying, I'm going to throw away my vote because I don't feel good at all with anybody. I don't think a lot of them are going to just show up for Donald Trump.
So what do? You have the debate like you had yesterday with the candidates that were up there, and you have, you know, the fight between Ramaswamy and Nikki Haley, you know, jabbing at one another. And at the end of the day, some people are saying, hey, if I'm looking for an alternative to Trump, did I find them on stage yesterday? Dave Giulio, what do you think Republicans who are moderate are thinking?
They are desperately searching for an alternative to the former president. And there's one on the stage, but the problem is that there were 5 of them last night, right, that are going to continue to splinter that anti-Trump Republican vote in those primaries and caucuses that are going to start in the new year. And for Republicans who don't want Trump to be the nominee, they have to rally behind one of those alternatives. And I think that they're just right now jockeying to see who that's going to be, if it's going to be Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, or one of the others.
Who did you think came out on top at the debate yesterday?
I think Nikki Haley probably, not that she won it, but I think given the attacks that came from Ramaswamy, I think that she exits that in a strong position.
Even having to call Ramaswamy scum for calling out her own daughter, a 25-year-old who uses TikTok. Terrence Mikowski, this election is interesting. Trump leading in 5 of the 6 key states here. But when you look at President Biden and his approval on how he handled this very controversial Israel-Gaza situation, he's polling well with both Republicans and Democrats when it comes to that war. And the UAW right here at home able to win record contracts. Many conservatives were saying these people are asking for too much. They won't get it. They got it. Isn't that a win for Biden?
No, absolutely not. Let's be realistic.
Why not?
President Trump is our nominee, plain and simple. The Republican Party is behind him. Look at all you got to do is ask yourself: is your life better since President Biden took over? Going to war, our economy, our fuel, the ridiculous border crossings, the fentanyl, people dying in record numbers crossing the borders, human trafficking. President Trump did everything he said he was going to do. President Trump, in my lifetime, is the best president I've ever seen, even being attacked all 4 years of his presidency. President Trump, 2024, that's what America needs.
But wasn't Biden handed a tall order post-pandemic with all of that had to be done, the spending that he says needed to be done in order to secure the country and get it back?
If you look at everything that the Biden has done since he's been in office, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Come on, what he's done with the wars, with the fuel economy.
But the UAW wasn't a win for you, even though he marched and he fought with those workers to ask for fair
those
wages?
workers, I happen to do some work with one of the big threes, and none of those workers are supporting Biden anymore. I'm a former Democrat. I came up in the city of Detroit.
You say
I'm a
none of
Republican
those
now.
workers?
None that I know that I talk to are supporting Biden.
After Sean Fain goes back, and Charlie, this is an interesting one, the whole electric car politicalization of electric cars, they said all these UAW workers, for a moment, were saying, wait a minute, Mr. Biden, we don't want these electric cars. We're going to be out of a job. And then they signed something with General Motors that essentially says, hey, you know what? We'll include electric car battery plants in this. Didn't that help President Biden?
Of course it did. I think President Biden absolutely. What's the biggest story that you've covered in the last, the top 2 or 3 biggest stories that you've covered in the last couple of months? The UAW.
Yeah.
Everyone knows some guy named Sean Fain. Yeah. And if Sean Fain and President Biden are together, that's good for the Democrats. The other thing, too, what Democrat is going to vote for Donald Trump? It's never going to happen. And Dave Giulio teaches in his class.
I think you're going to be surprised.
No.
I really do.
Politics.
I really do.
You got roughly the country is about 40% Republican, 40% Democrat. You've got the 20% in the middle.
But they're about their pocketbooks.
They're
about their money.
Alexis, what if there's a moderate Democrat out there who says, you know what, am I better off than I was 4 years ago? And what if they answer to themselves, no, I'm not.
Absolutely not.
And maybe I need to go back to a person who I trusted then. Do you think there are those Democrats who will say, you know what, I'll look at Trump?
You're saying look at Trump? No.
No?
I mean,
not at all.
Think about, he's under indictment for a bunch of things. He could go to
Innocent
jail.
until proven guilty.
How can I vote for somebody who is, it just doesn't, the math.
It's not a witch hunt?
The math does not make sense to me.
Total witch hunt.
None of it's a witch hunt?
The math does not make sense to me. At the end of the day, I really think that President Biden will be just fine. He'll come through this. I think that we're going to end up supporting him.
That might be the case, right? We're, as you said, a long way away from, and there's a lot of work to do on the Biden campaign agenda. But the alarm bells have to be going off in the White House now with the polling that you mentioned from before. I think that there are Democrats who will look at, not saying we'll vote for, but we'll give it a shot or give Trump consideration. I think the other thing to think about is, and there was news on this today, Joe Manchin is not going to run for re-election in the Senate from West Virginia. There's a lot of smoke around him launching a third-party bid for the White House, whether or not
third-party candidate has ever won, ever.
Totally agree.
Never.
Totally agree.
But they can take away votes from.
Let's be realistic.
They can take away votes.
Joe Biden is not going to be the nominee for the Democratic Party.
There's a lot of good issues in this campaign.
I bet you on that.
I bet you on that one.
The economy is a very good issue in this campaign. I have to admit, a lot of problems. Interest rates are high, gas price, etc. We know all the problems. The problem that I see there is that you need someone from the Republican Party to carry that message. And if it's Donald Trump, it's not going to be believed because Donald Trump will make it about Donald Trump.
I got to talk to you about this.
No better more than an outsider in Donald Trump, who is not a politician, who was a former Democrat, who is now a Republican, who has fought the system.
We got to ask the question about damaged goods. We got to ask the question. You're saying obviously innocent until proven guilty.
Absolutely.
We know that.
Absolutely.
However, we're looking at all of the document scandals with the stuff that he had kept allegedly inside of his Mar-a-Lago home.
And no other president has done that, right?
But here's the deal.
From Clinton to Biden,
but the other presidents returned the materials that they were asked to return. And this former president, basically, after 3 or 4 attempts, finally gave up some of the stuff until they had to raid the place. Many people say he did that for theatrics. Is he ready mentally? And after all of these court trials and all these issues, to be the sound leader that he was, that you think he was in 2016?
Absolutely, and with everything going around, not only in America, look around the world what's going on. And if we don't think that the world was a much safer place with Donald Trump, our alpha male, in charge of our country and the superpower and the stability that we had, everybody prior to Trump being elected, they didn't trust him with the nuclear. He's the only president in 4 years that didn't have a conflict, didn't have a war, saved lives.
What can this former president do to get those who left him to come back?
They got to realize that the people that they're listening to are the establishment people who never gave Trump a chance.
What does Trump have to do? Not what do the voters?
Trump has to keep doing what he's doing because Trump
to win back those voters.
I say keep doing what you're doing. I had the pleasure and the honor to not only do his security, but his whole family's security. They are a solid family. They are a God-fearing family, and they worry about our country first and foremost.
You don't think there's anything he can do to try to win over some of these on-the-fence?
Well, I would hope he would be able to address it, but with this witch hunt and everybody trying to come at him with every legal issue in the world, come on, I'm from the city. People realize when you're being persecuted, and the black, the Hispanics, people that are in low class have been subject to that, and they're identifying with Trump now because he's being persecuted.
Alexis Wiley.
I take such deep offense to that even comparison. It's not even really worth addressing. The
in low class have been subject to that, and they're identifying with Trump now because he's being persecuted.
Alexis Wiley.
I take such deep offense to that even comparison. It's not even really worth addressing. The bottom line of it is that Donald Trump is spending a lot of time in court. He's going to focus on court. He's not going to have time to campaign. He's not going to have time to be out here.
He can multitask.
Bottom line is I think that we as Americans are better than that. I think we are better than re-electing Donald Trump.
Are we better
again
though? Are we better?
president.
Are
We're
we
just
better than
that.
having two people, one who's 80 and the other who's in his mid to late 70s, as being our only two guys who we're voting for? Are we better than that as a country?
I think that at the end of the day, we're going to look at the track record. And I think that when you really look at what's happening with the economy, you look at the jobs that are being created, you look at when Sean Fain comes out and says, I'm with Joe Biden and he helped, think about all those workers that are going to fall in line and say,
Julia,
if Sean's with him, we're going to
does America deserve better than the two candidates we've already seen?
That's not my judgment to make, but America desperately wants something other than a Trump-Biden rematch. The polling on this has been clear for months and months that America would much rather have some fresh new faces to choose from, and we're not going to give it to them, right? The system is going to produce, in all likelihood, Trump's going to be the nominee.
Absolutely.
And Biden's going to be the nominee. I agree with you, Charlie, about the third-party candidate. Not ever went, but the appetite for a third-party candidate has never been higher in the United States.
I absolutely agree with that.
And we know Ross Perot did for Bill Clinton.
Absolutely.
Back in the 90s to help elect him into office by being a third-party viable candidate. It's an interesting topic, one that we'll get final thoughts on in just a moment here. And Charlie is taking the show on the road.
What's the most important issue in this upcoming presidential election?
Definitely the war.
The health costs, the econ, the cost of living.
Do you think the UAW, the unions, are going to be a big part of this election coming up for president?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Do you think the president can help you with your strike?
Oh yeah, if you get active, yeah, for sure.
Well, the president runs the country, so I think he can help us out a little bit. Yeah, he's strong. He can do it.
Do you think the president of the United States can help your strike?
No. You want my honest opinion? No, I don't.
You looking forward to next year's election?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely they're gonna get my vote. Whoever talking good, they're gonna get my vote. Look at all the people that's been going on strike. A lot of people are paying attention to what's going on, not just here in Michigan. We're affecting everybody all around the United States. They're starting to pay attention. So yes, they better come see the unions. They better come see what's going on.
Terrence Mikowski, what does former President Trump have to do to win over more voters?
He's got to do what he's doing. The Democrats made a big mistake by persecuting him the way he is. When the trial comes out and the people see what is being done to him, all we got to do, like I say, look at his record,
Terrence,
look at what he's done.
Thank you for your time. That is all. Dave Dulio, prediction.
I'll go out on a limb here for Let It Rip and say that one of the two major party candidates, Trump or Biden, does not run in the general election.
Wow.
Right.
Alexis Wiley.
I think that President Biden's going to have to run a very energetic campaign to really make sure that people understand the record and what he's done to make life better.
Charlie, prediction?
Biden, Trump, for sure. And I think the Democrats want to run against Donald Trump because they think they can beat him.
Well, we wish for peace and decorum through all of this, of course. We thank our panel for joining us today here on Let It Rip. That does it for this edition.
This is The Edge.